What's up? It's Unrested. JFAQ number 15, I believe. Let's just get started. Enough with the hibby-habby at the beginning of the little video. I'm just gonna start talking. Ahmed says, what kind of beverages do you prefer? Are you a tea or coffee man? I am definitely a tea guy. You know, it's funny, before I came here, I would probably say I'm a coffee guy, although I didn't really ever drink that much coffee. After living in Japan, you will become a tea person, I promise you. If you don't, well, fine, that's okay. I don't really care. Jordan says, have you ran into that gaijin street performer near Osaka Aquarium before? Pretty cool guy. Amazing Japanese too. I think, what is he, the magician? The magician down there? If so, I've seen him before, but actually, Jordan, I saw him when I was a teacher and taking kids there, so I couldn't really stop and talk to him because I had like 12 kindergartners with me. Okay, next question. What's your opinion on the pricing of tattoos in Japan? Recently, I visited a few chopstick tattoo stores in America Mura, and holy ampersand sign, percentage mark, dollar sign, I'm guessing that's a cuss word. It's expensive. Around 100 pounds? I think that's a sign for pounds. Sorry, I don't deal with pounds much. For a coin-sized tattoo. So 100 pounds in American dollars is like $200 now? I don't know the exchange rate. So in Japanese money, that would be like Niman. Right? About Niman. Or maybe like Ichiman Kyusen. Okay, so yeah, that's about right. A quarter-size tattoo is about $100. Yeah. No, $200. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah. Guys, tattoos in Japan a lot more expensive. So, get ready to pay a lot. Why? I guess, you know, they're dealing with a lot of imported stuff. You know, their old school style teibori is probably a little bit more cheap, but you're not going to find many masters who do it, so you're still going to pay price for the actual skill level of the master. Unfortunately, Japan's just expensive, dude. Tokyo, what? Third most expensive city in the world? Anyway, let's move on. Hopefully my cat shuts up so I can talk. Let's see. Jared says, when you apply to a company to be an ALT, do you go where you applied, or is it random? Now, you go to the company's headquarters, right? That's where you go for your interview and your application and possibly even your first visit. That company will then assign you a school, which is most likely nowhere close to their office headquarters. For example, my first interview for an ALT position was in Honmachi, which is like in the dead smack middle of Osaka. And I worked all the way out in Osaka Sayamashi and Sakaikami. So that was like a really far trip away. Probably almost a 45-minute trip each day to get to my job. So you'll be working quite far away from where you actually apply to the job. Don't expect that you're going to get a job anywhere close to it. It's unfortunate, but true. Richard says, what would be the best healthcare to go for over there? I would say national healthcare. I would require good dental coverage. More than anything, my current plan in the US does not include dental, so I'm orally screwed. I see some innuendo going on there, Richard. Let's see. Dude, just get national health insurance. Even if you didn't have national health insurance, if you had zero insurance in Japan, everything would still be cheaper than if you had pretty good insurance in America. That's how expensive America is, and that's how cheap Japan is. Look, if you're working a full-time job here, your company is supposed to pay part of your national health insurance, leaving you with not a lot to pay for national health insurance. If I am correct, and those of you who've lived here even longer than me or are more experts on the subject, I believe if you work full-time, which is over 35 hours to 40 hours, then your employer is supposed to pay up to 70% of your national health insurance, leaving you only to pay 30% out of your salary, which is not a lot of money. When you do go and you do show your card and you do get covered, you will find it quite cheap compared to America. The great thing about us Americans, when we come here, man, it is a candy land to go to the dentist's office, the doctor's office, everything. We just can't believe how cheap it is. Those of you who come from Canada, Australia, and Britain, I'm really sorry. You pay a lot more. Zoe says, you are awesome. Pfft, I know that. I'm also humble. On a side note, my question is, when visiting Japan, would it be easier and or cheaper to add international to your mobile or get prepaid phone while in Japan to stay connected to your group? I'm guessing you mean to call internationally? Is that what you mean? Look, if you come here and you get a cell phone, use Skype. Don't try to pay for any kind of international phone calls. It wouldn't make any sense. My advice to you is you can bring a laptop over here and easily use internet over here. It'll connect to any internet that they set up here, NTT, or what's the other one? Japan Com, I think, is the other one we have here in Osaka. Connect up to that, use Skype. Please don't ever try to pay for international phone calls. You will be entirely ripped off whether you buy it in America or if you buy it in Japan. Andrew says, are there any legal places to play poker against other players like Texas Hold'em? Well, I work in a casino, so I can tell you. You can legally play those games, you just can't legally win money over them. Japan, gambling is illegal. Where I work now as a part-time job is a Nisemono casino. Nisemono means fake. It's not a real place that really actually gives you money for winning. We give you chips that look like poker chips. Those chips can then be turned in for a plushie. Awesome! So you can play the most gritty, hardcore game of Texas Hold'em and then get your little fuzzy Pikachu after. Connor says, hey Scott, I don't know if you've talked about music in another video, but what's your personal preference of music? I'm a bit partial to some death metal myself. As I've said before, I try to keep my mind open to everything. I am a little bit of a metalhead, but I don't like to be biased towards other types of music. You know, recently, if I listen to Western music, I try to key into a top 40, top 100, because I have no damn clue what is popular back in America anymore, and that's a bit strange. On top of that, I try to listen to an international top 100 to make sure I cover everything in every country. Recently, though, I would say probably I listen to a lot of deathcore, a lot of K-pop, and I'm into a lot of, like, when I'm chilling out and just relaxing, I like a lot of ambient and dark noise, too. Can't really handle a lot of metal in the morning anymore, I notice, when I wake up. Can't handle it. A little too hardcore for me in the morning. Daniel says, can you name 2 Japanese and 2 American values that are helping you to guide your life in a positive direction? I can do that. Okay, let's see. I would say 2 Japanese. Let's stick with number 1, the Japanese honoring the wa in the workplace, learning Japanese harmony in the workplace. I would say that has taught me a lot. Try to get along with everybody in the workplace. Don't try to add any tension. Treat your workplace as if it were another house that you have to live in, and there's family members there that you have to get along with. Work out your troubles by accepting other people and learn about each person so that you can work with them in the best way possible. Another Japanese moral, I would say temperance in everything. Even temperance in temperance. Temperance in everything is really good. Don't overeat, don't overwork out, don't overplay, don't go drinking with your friends and stuff. Practice temperance. I've gotten really good at it. It's kept me in pretty good shape, I'd say. I'd say that's what it's really done, is like the Japanese diet and the temperance that it includes has really kept me in good shape. Guys, I'm 34 this 29th of July. And I'd say I'm a lot skinnier than all the other people I graduated high school with. 2 American values. I'd say one is be yourself. Like, don't give an effing F about anybody's effing thoughts about your effing self. And just be yourself. That's important because, like I've said before, you can assimilate to a society and a culture and learn it without losing yourself. And that's something kind of America's taught me. I've learned how to accept every type of person I've ever met, with their values, their morals, their beliefs, their creed, their code, while keeping myself intact, not letting them alter who I am. There is a fine line that does blur sometimes, and there are some points you reach where you're kind of like, what would I do in this situation? Like, which value fights for the other one? And, you know, that's something that takes time and balance to figure out, but it's something that's helped me a lot. Man, I am totally who I am. I am super comfortable with who I am. My self-esteem has never been better, and I'll never change who I am for anyone. And another American value, forge your own way. is very important. Forge your own way. We learned that quite a bit. The pursuit of happiness, if you will. I just recorded a bunch of these questions and freaking the battery was shut off and I didn't even hear it beep. Whatever, man. I'm gonna try and catch up in the middle of this. I recorded the end and the beginning, and now I'm gonna go back and record the middle, so hopefully I answer everything. Devin was the next one here. How long did it take before you felt confident to converse in conversational Japanese? I'd say 2 years, Devin, but it's going to be a little bit different for everybody. Louise says, is it true Japanese people love mayonnaise? I wouldn't make that blanket statement right now, but there is a lot of popular mayonnaise here. And is it true that some Japanese girls say nya after their sentences to sound cute, or is it anime bull? Yeah, that's anime bull. No girl does that who has half a brain. When will you make the JFAQ about funny gaijin experiences? I don't know exactly when I'll do that, but when I do, I will. Jordan says, what are some candies and snacks that are pretty easy to find in America but really hard to find in Japan? All the Wonka series would be really hard to find, such as Sweet Tarts, Laffy Taffy, all different types of ultra sweet stuff like that's not really too popular here and not really sold here at all. Andy says, I love your videos. I have 2 questions. 1, when a gaijin comes to teach English, do they look for someone who's blonde and blue-eyed? Or is there a certain look they look for? No, not really. I mean, I'd say one of the biggest things they do look for as far as appearance is if you're going to teach kindergarten here, though, they do look that you're somewhat in shape. 2, other than Himeji and the temples, what other cultural landmarks would you recommend that someone sees on their first time to Japan? You know, go check out the 1,000 Gold Statue Temple out in Kyoto. Go check out the awesome temples and shrines that are in Okinawa. There's some really awesome ones there. Check out the war memorials. Check out Koyasan here in Osaka. Brandon says, what are upcoming Japanese and American films you're excited for? Anything that's horror, pretty much, as far as Japan, for example. Recently just released was The Black Apartment. Yeah, okay, cool, man. Cool. Let me just finish this. I'll be right with you to play, okay? Sorry, my son wants me to come play for a second. I'm going to do this in about 10 minutes because that's all I have left to answer questions. What are upcoming Japanese and American films you're excited for? The Black Lily Apartments here in Japan, and in America, I wish you'd make VHS 3. That was a good movie, VHS 2. Patricia said, do you have any travel tips for someone not generally speaking, but how to maximize vacation in Japan? In America, there would be a ton of driving to get everywhere. In Japan, if you're going to be in the city, there's not a lot of driving to get a bunch of different nice places. In the countryside, or for example, the extreme north or south, Hokkaido or Okinawa, you would definitely need to rent a car. Jonathan says, hey Scott, my question is on escaping the city. I currently live in the Rocky Mountains and I like to escape the day. I like to drive out and get out to nature. I'm wondering how easy it would be in Japan. It's not too hard. My suggestion would be, in my area, head out to a place called Kanagawa. Beautiful countryside out there. Rufus says, if you have answered this before, I'm sorry. My question is political engagement and gaijins. Oh my gosh, it's a long question. I'm going to cut it short here and say, what Rufus is saying is, can gaijin protest in Japan if they have a cause that they're all for? For example, anti-racism. Yeah, you know, you can do that, and he says here that he was told it's illegal for gaijin to do. I really don't see how that would be true, considering how many people protested when Nova crashed. But what I mean is, you just can't run in there, you know, grab a sign and start picketing with the rest of the people if you're not signed up. To say gaijin cannot protest in Japan, I know that's gotta be bullshit, because when Nova crashed, you saw a hell of a lot of gaijin protesting in Japan, so that's BS. Noah said, hey Scott, I'm wondering if you know how expensive it is to live in Osaka compared to Tokyo. It's probably only about like Ichiman cheaper, okay? About $100 cheaper per apartment. That's what you're looking at. Probably $100 more on every apartment size that you would see. I'm serious, that's the most simple average cost I can give you. Daniel said, do you know anything about the movement to modify the Japanese Constitution in order to expand and better equip the Japanese armor since World War II? Yeah, their biggest thing that they want to do is they want to be able to actually have a military, because what most people don't know is Japan does not have a military. They have the SDF, the Self-Defense Force. Japan is literally defended by Americans military and their bases here in Yokohama and Okinawa should a war ever break out. What they're actually amped about doing, and I think I can sympathize with them and understand this aspect, is they want to be able to defend their land. I don't know if you guys know this, but China has made a lot of threats on an island that Japan owns, and they've also even made threats on Okinawa and started to say that that's theirs too, that's freaking ridiculous, China. Come on, man. And then Korea also has been making threats on an island too. And I think what they're big about is they're getting sick of the Chinese battleships and stuff like that doing loops and stuff around property that is owned by Japan. And that's what they really want to do, and work together with all different types of field missions with America. They're not about to become any kind of imperial country again. Let's take a look. Linda is next. I'd like to buy Pokemon in Japanese, but I'm not very good at kanji. Hey, I'm going to stop you right there. Linda, all Pokemon is in hiragana, so you don't need to worry. I think even if there was kanji on it, it would have the hiragana or furigana above it. Is it possible to switch them off or something? No, it is not, but I have heard from my friend Angel, I'm going to give you a shout out here, Angel, X and Y will have all languages on it, and I believe you can buy the Japanese version, but switch it to French, German, English, and Japanese. And there might be more on there, maybe Italian too, and Spanish, but hey, don't quote me on that. That's what I've been told by my friend. It may be totally true. He showed me a screen that had all those different options on it, so I'm thinking it's probably true. It's a world release. That tends to happen when there's a world release game, such as Resident Evil, which also has that. Ichiro says, hi Scott, as an artist, what is your view on UV ink tattoos? You know, I think that's cool, but I kind of wonder why you would pay so much money to get a tattoo you can only see in the dark with a special light. And I've also heard those chemicals are not the best for your body. Kevin says, thanks for all the help, sir. Hopefully when I'm back in Japan, we could battle on X and Y. Anytime, Kevin. Any of you are welcome to battle me online for Pokemon. Joseph says, can Westerners get a business-related job? Managerial, financial, accounting? Say hypothetically, I was fluent in Japanese and Keigo. Yeah, if you are fluent, if you are 100% native level fluent, yes, you could get it, okay? Razi says, hey Scott, good to have you back. I was wondering if men's place as child raisers is getting better in Japan. Little by little, it's being more accepted. Recently, one of the members of SMAP, yes, I'm back on SMAP, he actually took time off of work to take care of his child and was on the first version Japan has ever had of, what do you call that, when someone leaves to take care of their child? What do you call it? Anyway, it's a term that means you take time off because you have to raise your child in the first couple of years of its life. He did that. He took off time and actually filed for that, which is super rare, and was actually really paraded and exalted and appraised by a lot of women and men for doing that. And personally, I think that's cool too. I think men need to become more involved with their kids here in Japan. Hi Scott, when I lived in Japan for the first few months, my self-confidence was an all-time high because I was different, unique, and no one knew me there. I could be anyone I wanted to be. This is true. By the time I reached a year, I actually felt the opposite as I struggled to fit in, understand the language, and the culture. Did you feel super confident too when you first moved there and then started feeling crappy afterwards? Yeah, you know, this is kind of something I talked about before. You will feel this kind of superstar status. You know, some people lose their head over it or get a big head about it. I did not. I kept myself calm. But it can happen. Don't let it get the best of you. Stay chill. You know, you're not any kind of celebrity or pop star here. But there is a point, and a lot of people mention this. I even read about this myself when I was reading a bunch of blogs before I came to Japan. You hit a wall. I hit it about 4 months, where I realized I had to do everything in Japanese. I had to freaking learn the language to meet any more people, to go to any new places, to find out any new things that were beyond just the little tourist places that you see the first 3 months. And that's where I started to feel kind of left out. All my friends had gone home because the company I'd worked for went bankrupt. I was left pretty much totally alone, and it was rough. I honestly felt like, I felt like giving up in those first 4 months. Push past that point. I pushed past it. I really had no option. That was my reasoning. And push past it. It does get better. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. I've had people actually write to me about hitting the same spot that you're talking about right now. And if you push past 1 year, and you get into your second year, and you get past that, man, life becomes wholly new and exciting and great again in Japan. And I am so happy I stayed here after that point and got past it, learned the language, and really started to fit in and figure out the culture and learn the manners and really meet a lot of friends and have Japanese friends. And now I love it, but I know what you're talking about, and guys, you will hit this point. Let's see, what's next? Oh my goodness, I'm almost done. Michael says, how many suits do you own? I own 2 suits and they are both black. Sophie says, hi Scott, when I lived in Japan for the oh no, I'm sorry. I'm reading the same question again. Christoph says, assuming that you are going to Japan to study Japanese at a language school, which city do you recommend studying and why? That depends. Do you want to learn Kanto-ben? If you want to learn the Tokyo type of Japanese, go to Tokyo and go to a school there. It'll be super expensive. If you want to save a few bucks, see if you can find a school out in the middle of the boondocks. Andrew says, what is your favorite food to pig out on in Japan? Does it have to be a Japanese food or can it be an American food? During the summer, I pig out on flavored ice. And number 1, it's low calorie, so it doesn't really make me a fatty after I do that. But number 2, you're just so damn hot here in the summer, and that's just one of my survival techniques, is cool my body off by eating shaved ice. Daniel says, if you have the chance, time, money, and will to practice a Japanese martial art, which one would you choose and why? Maybe judo at this point. I would probably choose judo because it's a lot of upper body stuff, and I like to stick to more upper body type martial arts. I don't know. I don't really have the time or even the imagination to get into that stuff anymore. I love it. I think martial arts are awesome. I applaud, clap, 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 anybody who takes part in those and has the time to master them, especially those who come to Japan and do it. Sack says, how does the general public see idol otaku? What is your personal opinion on idol otaku? Sorry if I'm past the cutoff time. Zach, you are the last one. You make the exact time perfect. For the most part, people see idol otakus as creepy, weird, and a bit strange to get that into anybody. Especially the ones who have abandoned all chance of having self-esteem themselves and focused everything on these idols. Now, you know, there's nothing wrong with being into a certain idol or talento. I see that as totally okay. I really don't have a problem with anyone who even has like a lot of posters, CDs, and stuff about a certain idol they like. But when you start to disregard your own like self-hygiene and personality traits, self-esteem, style, fashion, or even just who you are, your personality, and give it all up just to worship this idol, that's where I see it as kind of sickening. I think there's a balance, and again, we get back to temperance here, and I think that's something you need in all aspects of your life. Otaku lifestyle is not that bad. Personally, I don't see the otaku lifestyle as anything that bad. I just feel when it reaches past the points of not taking care of yourself is where I feel it becomes dangerous and can actually mentally screw with you. If you keep it intact and yourself intact, it's okay. Hey guys, that's the end of it. I'm going to cut it off here because my camera's about to go dead. I'm Unrested. This is JFAQ. I will see you next time.